Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, new information about the explosion and fire near Shiner Tuesday.
5 people were hurt in a shooting Thursday night in Lubbock.
And the family of a missing Cleveland woman filed a lawsuit against a man accused in taking over the woman's home.
We've got some terrific weather for football Friday night and a terrific weekend. As a matter of fact, temperatures are going to be cool and it's going to be breezy by tomorrow. We'll have all that coming up in a moment.
Volunteer workers in Chicago are frustrated with the lack of help as more migrants arrive in the city. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good Friday afternoon. Thank you for being with us. I'm James Munoz.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
Last night around 11:35, Jackson County authorities were on the scene of a fatal 2-vehicle crash. It happened on State Highway 172 and State Highway 35. A 2021 silver Nissan was going northeast on 35 and preparing to make a turn before it was hit by a 2020 Hyundai SUV traveling southwest on the same road. The driver of the Nissan, 67-year-old Paul Jordan from Missouri City, was killed. 2 people in the Hyundai were taken to a hospital here in Victoria. That fatal crash is investigation. Also Thursday night, just before 6:30, emergency workers were busy with this crash on U.S. Highway 59 north of Midway. No word if anyone was hurt. We've reached out to law enforcement for more details. Our crew on the scene reported a man hit at least 2 cars while trying to pass a semi-truck.
One person has a minor injury after the explosion and fire near Shiner. It happened Tuesday night east of Shiner on Highway 90A, just outside city limits. Methron Oil says it was their pipeline that caught fire. The Shiner Fire Department put the fire out quickly. The Texas Railroad Commission was at the site the next day investigating.
At least 5 people were hurt in a shooting Thursday night in North Lubbock. The call came in around 9:30 p.m. Police arrived to find 3 people with gunshot wounds. All 3 of those people were taken to the hospital. They're expected to survive. Authorities say 2 other people were taken to the hospital. No word on what led to the shooting.
The family of a missing woman is in a legal fight to get her home back after a man, they say, forged documents to take the home over.
The man is not charged in the woman's case, but he faces weapons charges.
The family's attorney claims the documents he used to take possession of that home were forged. A Liberty County family stuck in a legal tug of war for their mother's home with the man law enforcement suspects of killing her. Last month, a relative found Donald Hassler, a stranger and parolee, living inside Cheryl Siddall's Horseshoe Lake Estates home, a place they claim she would never give up.
This house meant everything to her.
Liberty County law enforcement found blood and other evidence inside the house, leading them to believe Siddall had been killed there. Hassler was arrested on weapons charges, and ABC 13 is told additional charges, including forgery, could be filed as soon as Thursday. An attorney representing Siddall's children filed a petition accusing Hassler of falsifying documents to take her home. We spoke with the notary whose signature and seal appear on those documents. He told us his logbook shows that on June 16th, he actually did notarize a previous deed and power of attorney documents for Hassler. He believes he then used those documents as a blueprint to allegedly forge the second set of documents later that month, laying claim to Siddall's home. The family's attorney also claims he used an alias in that transaction.
That will be very suspicious, and that's something a judge could use to overturn this, what appears to be a fraudulent conveyance.
Siddall's family attorney confirms that Hassler has been served with their civil petition in jail, but that he hasn't responded to it. Now, Steve Schellis, that attorney you just heard from, he's not affiliated with the case, says that's probably in his best interest, as anything he says in this civil case could be used to convict him of additional criminal charges.
All right, let's take a look at the weather. I've enjoyed all this rain.
Oh yeah, I have
Love
too,
it.
for sure.
Mac, any more rain coming?
No, the rain's pretty much over with. We've got a lot of cloud cover that's still with us, but the temperatures are starting to cool. It's a very busy night in the Crossroads. We've got a football game in Bay City. We've got a football game here in Victoria. We've got a football game in Cuero and one in Yoakum. It's going to be terrific for the game, and you're even going to love the weekend. I'm telling you, it's going to be spectacular. We'll have all that coming up in just a moment.
Mac, thank you. The Biden administration returned to the U.S. Supreme Court Thursday to ask the justices to allow the government to regulate ghost guns. Ghost guns are kits without serial numbers. A user can buy it online and assemble it into a fully functional firearm. In August, a 5-4 U.S. Supreme Court sided with the Biden administration in a challenge brought by a group of manufacturers. The court allowed the regulations to remain in effect, but a Texas-based district court judge blocked those regulations. Many volunteer groups in Chicago are asking who's in charge as the number of new arrivals in the Windy City continues to rise.
The volunteer groups are overwhelmed and stretched thin. On Thursday, more buses arrived in Chicago with more families joining the nearly 3,200 migrants still waiting for housing.
This is what they would get. If I expect anything in the moment of chaos, it's good communication, especially from government.
Jamie Groth-Searle is a one-woman assembly line putting together these care packages for arriving migrants being placed at police districts on the south side.
You know, things like knowing your rights.
Her nonprofit, the Southwest Collective, saddled with a job that has become grueling in recent weeks.
This is a very simple thing to do. Let people know where to go to the doctor. Let people know about their rights. And just make sure that they have the bare necessities.
The frustration fueled by the lack of communication from the city is growing for many volunteer groups on the ground doing the work as they welcome a historic number of migrants at police districts. Work they say the city should be doing. On Wednesday, just as volunteers with the group, the police station response team had assisted in the transport of several families at Police District 8 to temporary shelters, they were blindsided by dozens of new arrivals.
It's not fair that we are expected to step up and to do the work without given any, sort of announcement that we are going to need to be ready.
To make matters worse, the migrants hadn't eaten for hours, leading one volunteer to drive over to a local Burger King, spending hundreds of dollars of his own money on meals.
When they are sent here from Texas, many of the times they don't have any food the entire way.
Since August of last year, more than 17,000 migrants have been bused into Chicago, with 14 buses arriving Wednesday and at least 11 arriving Thursday. The city's on track to surpass last week's record of 27 buses by double digits. Volunteers say if this trend continues and coordination with the city remains stagnant, winter is going to serve up chaos.
We're going to have families sleeping outdoors in parks, in the street, because that's what's happening now.
This week, Chicago's mayor was asked about making the relationship between the city and these volunteer groups more equitable. He only said he appreciated the work that they are doing on the ground.
In Denver, also overwhelmed with the recent surge of migrants, they've asked the governor for National Guard support, but that was denied. A state spokesperson said it's because the Colorado National Guard can be called in without a declared state of emergency. The governor sent 40 civilian staff members to help process new arrivals. Denver leaders are also changing the length of shelter stays as more migrant buses arrive from Texas. The next special session of the Texas legislature starts Monday. At the top of Governor Abbott's agenda is border security, followed by school vouchers. The issue of school vouchers included setting up a program to allocate taxpayer money for private education. Abbott's border security includes increases to criminal penalties for illegal entry across the southern border. Feuding in the state house was largely focused on House Speaker Dade Phelan in his role in the impeachment of Attorney General Ken Paxton, which could prove to be pivotal in the next 30 days.
State Representative District 30 Jeannie Morrison sent this statement on the session. Fortifying our southern border is of utmost importance to my constituents and all Texans. I am eager to build on the efforts Texas has made to defend our sovereignty. Here's your viewer poll this afternoon. Scan the QR code on your screen. Which item of the third special legislative session are you watching closely? Education savings accounts, border security measures, public safety and property rights, or ending COVID restrictions? Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. We'll have an update on 25 News now at 6. The president of the United Auto Workers says they've reached an agreement with the big three automakers, Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis. He says the agreement concerns the future of auto jobs.
We were about to shut down GM's largest moneymaker in Arlington, Texas. The company knew those members were ready to walk immediately. And just that threat has provided a transformative win. GM has now agreed in writing to place their electric battery manufacturing under our National Master Agreement.
No word from automakers on Fain's comments. The announcement does suggest the strike, which started 2 weeks ago, could come to an end soon. The Texas Tribune has this story after a Republican congressman started Kevin McCarthy's removal as House Speaker. Several Texas Republicans want to change the rules for removing a speaker. Read this story at crossroadstoday.com. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. A funeral home in Colorado is under investigation, accused of improperly storing human remains.
Also ahead, a New York appeals judge has declined to halt Donald Trump's trial as day 5 continues.
Here's a look at what's coming up on Community Crossroads. We hear from the City of Victoria, Theater Victoria, the Victoria Fine Arts Association, and we take in a performance by Stephanie Ross.
Takes up all my time. All I do is think of this love we left behind. I sure could.
Authorities found more than 115 bodies improperly stored at a Colorado funeral home. The facility in the small Colorado town was also unregistered for 10 months after the owner let it expire back in November of 2022. The funeral home was performing green burials without the chemicals needed or metal caskets. The Fairmont County Sheriff's Office has called in the County Coroner's Office and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. The Colorado Department of Public Health and the FBI are also investigating. A New York appeals judge has declined to halt Donald Trump's civil fraud trial. The ruling came today, 5 days into the closely watched trial. The former president asked to postpone it while he fights a pre-trial ruling that could strip him of control of his assets, such as Trump Towers. The appeals judge has agreed that control over the holdings will stay as is for now. Trump is being sued by New York Attorney General Letitia James.
Student loan borrowers living in Washington, D.C. have the highest debt load in the nation with an average of nearly $55,000. Virginia and Maryland are also in the top 5. President Biden paused repayment more than 3 years ago. Since then, student debt has increased $102 billion to reach its total of more than $1.7 trillion. The Supreme Court struck down Biden's loan forgiveness program earlier this summer. It's National Menopause Awareness Month. Every year, more than 1 million women in the U.S. experience this condition.
The health experts say many of them don't seek treatment for these symptoms.
It's a natural part of aging, but menopause can have a significant impact on a woman's life.
It's more than just hot flashes and night sweats. It's sleep disturbances and mood disturbances and joint aches and palpitations and vaginal dryness and pain with sex and a whole lot of other things.
Dr. Stephanie Fabian with Mayo Clinic is also the medical director of the North American Menopause Society, an organization that seeks to promote health and quality of life for women as they age. She says the first thing to know is what menopause is. It's diagnosed after a woman's gone 12 months without a period. Second, when symptoms start can vary from person to person, but menopause typically happens in a woman's 40s and 50s. The average age is 51 in the U.S. Third, the symptoms can last for years.
The mean duration of hot flashes is 7 to 9 years, and a good third of women will hot flash moderately to severely for a decade or longer.
Fourth, be aware of bone loss during this time of transition and see a doctor to monitor bone density.
Engage in regular weight-bearing exercise and have a good dietary intake of calcium, and postmenopausal women should be aiming for 1,000 milligrams of calcium per day.
Fabian says the final thing to know, there are effective treatments available for symptom relief, including hormone therapy and non-hormonal medications to treat hot flashes.
FDA-approved medication called bezolinetant, which was just approved in May.
For Health Minute, I'm Andy Gaither.
Drivers in the crossroads feeling some relief at the pump. The national average for regular gas is about $3.74. That's down about 10 cents from a week ago, and prices may ease up even more in the coming days. Oil prices dipping about 2% on Thursday. Crude oil prices down significantly from the estimated $90 per barrel last week. AAA Texas reports the average gas price in Victoria, $3.23 per gallon. That's down 15 cents from a week ago.
Well, we have no rain around the area, but we do have a lot of cloud cover. It's actually coming in from the Pacific of all things. Our temperatures finally are getting reasonable. 83 right about now. We managed to get up to only a high of 83 today, so that was great, and that's even below average. I think that's the first time we've been below average in 7 months. It's just been crazy. But you're going to like the weekend even more because the cool, dry air is coming in. We'll be talking more about that coming up in a moment. Well, it's football Friday night, and our game of the week here is the El Campo Ricebirds against the Bay City Black Cats. It's going to be in Bay City, cloudy skies, game time temperature 78 degrees. That's pretty reasonable. Winds are gentle, fairly quiet out of the north at about 10 miles an hour, but there is no rain in sight, folks. It just looks cloudy. Now, here's the big stuff. Very busy weekend for a lot of people. First of all, we have the Red River Showdown. I know they changed the name on it, but it's the big Texas OU game. Sunny, mild, 70 degrees at game time with a north wind at 13 miles an hour. And then there also happens to be a little game at Kyle Field with a couple 500,000 of some of my friends. It's sunny, cool, 67 northeast winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Perfectly, actually you could call it a perfect football weekend because it's going to feel fresh and very comfortable. Now, right about now, it feels better, but the cloud deck makes it look like it's gloomy. With the cloud decks coming in from another side of the Pacific, you can see it's all drifting in from the west, rolling into our area. But in terms of precipitation, there's nothing happening here. There's a little bit of rain out in the mountains of northern Mexico, but for us, it'll be a dry night and a fairly dry weekend. In fact, it's going to be a drier weekend because we've got another little front coming through. Now, notice the temperatures. These are tonight's lows, which will get us down to about 69. In the 50s, the low temperatures in far west Texas. Tomorrow, while we get up to only 77 as opposed to 83, which is what we did today, and all of the state is going to be finally feeling fine October weather. Can you believe it? Makes me feel like going to Worst Fest or something like that. Anyway, the big storm that's in the Great Lakes brought us the first front. That came through with all the big rain. That one's all the way down into Florida. This second little front is actually going to cause some breezy, dry winds to blow in. It's a northerly wind, and then you can see how the front will be through here to about tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, or even at noontime, you'll feel a fairly stiff breeze. Now, it's not a high wind, but it is a gusty wind, and it'll be on the breezy side. Then high pressure comes in, and your Sunday is going to be spectacular. In fact, if you're not watching football, I'd be out in the backyard, maybe grilling a little bit. We've got very active Pacific right now. A lot of that moisture is being streamed up over on top of us. But in terms of us, we can say goodbye to summertime, finally. Anyway, on the Atlantic, we have Philippe. Philippe is finally going to move ashore somewhere over Maine as a tropical storm. Not a major problem, but it's still active out there. If you happen to have a chance to get out to do fishing, now this is very important. Your sunrise, 7:24. Your sundown, 7 o'clock, getting earlier. But the important thing is that the winds will be out of the northeast, and they'll be getting gusty, probably 15, 25 knots. So that's going to make the bays a little choppy and the seas a little rougher than normal for us. So we're looking at your day planner, 70 in the morning, only 78 the high in Port Lavaca. And then tomorrow in Cuero, 67 the low, 75 the high temperature. So that dry line comes in here, 77. Beautiful Sunday, not bad on Monday. Clouds return and slightly warmer temperatures until the next front comes in, probably 7 days from now on Friday of next week. That is your 7-day forecast. Want to remind everybody, do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Toss it back to James and Karina.
All right, Mac, have a good weekend. Thank you. Coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at Wall Street. Plus, in business news, U.S. job growth soared in September, nearly double than what was expected.
Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow gaining 288 points, the S&P 500 up 50 points, and the Nasdaq adds 211 points. Oil up 48 cents, closing at $82.79 a barrel. The U.S. economy added 336,000 jobs in September. Data released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that economists were predicting 170,000 jobs to be added last month. September's numbers are the largest monthly employment gain since January and are significantly higher than the 227,000 jobs added back in August. September's start gain was helped in part by the leisure and hospitality industry. This marks the 33rd consecutive month of job growth in the U.S.
Restaurant employment hit a major milestone in September since the pandemic. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says restaurants, bars, and other food service outlets added 60,700 jobs in September, adjusted for seasonal swings. The National Restaurant Association says that puts restaurant jobs at roughly 30,000 above the February 2020 number. Despite the job gains just announced, the landscape is still changed. Data shows there were fewer restaurants in 2022 than in 2019. The experts think that reduction may be permanent.
Stay with us. We'll take one last look at your forecast. Plus, two seniors prove age is just a number as they celebrate their 100th water ski in 2023. Plus, here's a look at world news tonight, right after 25 News Now at 5.
Coming up, the flash flood threat in the Northeast. Also, newly released body camera video showing the deadly shootout between deputies and a retired police officer, and the grim discovery at a funeral home. Next.
Take a look at these two guys. To celebrate their 100th go in 2023 for water skiing, these two Canadian men are slaloming using just one ski in the water. Don Gallinger and Douglas Burton say they started skiing 20 years ago. Don is 73, Douglas is 68. They're proving age is just a number and showing us how it's done on just one ski. One is a retired realtor and the other is a professor. They hit the waves in the summer and ski the slopes during the winter.
Looks like they're living their best lives.
Yeah, I went skiing once. I got up once, and the second time I couldn't get up, and that was it.
And they dragged you across the water?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Well, they look like they're having a good time, so happy for them.
Yeah.
But age is a real number, actually. Don't let them fool you, folks. Anyway, we couldn't ask for a nicer couple of days. We've got, of course, tonight a little cloud cover, but no rain in sight for the football games. The weekend's going to be cooler and drier in the 70s. You're going to love it. And then next week looking pretty good. We'll have some clouds and some light rain or drizzle, but at least we can say there's no heat advisories up for next week. Well, that's a good sign. And the next front will not till 7 days from now. So, you know, I'm getting so good I can do 7, 9, 10 days out there.
So are we going to be out of the drought, or do we need more rain?
Oh, no, we need more rain. I mean, we're in good shape now after that good 2-inch rain that almost everybody got, but we need some more. Yeah, we're probably 4 inches below. So the more we get, the better.
Yeah,
the more the
well,
merrier.
I do feel fall in the air, so thank you for that. Thank you for being with us.
We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with David Muir is up next.